This is The Point, news from Noise, daily market call presented by Kattan Ferretti Financial. I'm your CEO, Brad Roth, and I look forward to having a daily discussion with you over the topics that we present in this note every single morning. So without further ado, The Point.
Well, happy Monday, Cameron. How are you?
I'm well. How are you doing?
Oh, just fine, just fine. A lot of yawns this morning. It was a great sleeping weekend.
It was.
What'd you do all weekend?
Played some golf, relaxed by the pool. I don't know. It was pretty ideal.
That's good, man. That's good. Well, give me some news today. What do we got?
All right. This week sees a good deal of U.S. economic data to be released, including personal income and spending, inflation measures, and most importantly, GDP updates. Today includes durable goods orders at 8:30 a.m. and the Dallas Fed Business Index at 10:30. Energy stocks are trading slightly higher this morning following a dead cat bounce in oil prices. It's shaping up to be a busy period for the $5.1 trillion a day currency market, which has speeches from 5 Federal Reserve policymakers to contend with, the likely highlight being Chair Janet Yellen's address tomorrow. The Fed's John Williams said a recent slowdown in U.S. inflation was mainly due to one-off factors and should not prevent further increases in interest rates. The Wall Street Journal said the European Union's antitrust watchdog will, as soon as Tuesday, hit Alphabet Inc.'s Google with a fine of more than €1 billion and demand changes to the company's business practices. Outside the United States, European stocks logged broad gains on Monday, lifted by Italian banks after Rome stepped in to shut down 2 failed lenders. Nestle traded higher after Dan Loeb has amassed a $3.5 billion stake in Nestle, targeting Europe's largest company in the biggest bet of his 2-decade career as an activist investor. German business sentiment hit a record in June, with the IFO Business Climate Index unexpectedly rising to 115.1 points from 114.6 in May. European inflation data this week are likely to show that consumer price growth slowed to 1.3% in June, the weakest in 6 months, as energy costs slumped. As Bank of England Governor Carney prepares to deliver his biannual assessment of UK financial stability, he could force Britain's biggest banks to raise the levels of capital they employ. Consumer staples and information technology companies led gains on the CSI 300 index, and 7 of the top 10 gainers on the index are among MSCI's index picks. The volume on the CSI 300 was 44% more than its 30-day intraday average, while that of the Hang Seng index was 28% less. Japan's Takata Corporation, after auto industry's biggest ever product recall, filed for bankruptcy protection in the United States and Japan and said it would be bought for $1.6 billion by U.S.-based rival Key Safety Systems. Fitch Ratings has issued a widespread downgrade to Noble Group as poor liquidity and weak profitability continue to hinder the turnaround of the struggling commodities trader. Australian real wages fell in quarter one, with the highest debt-to-GDP ratio after Switzerland. Savings levels have more than halved in 5 years, while home buyers have borrowed vast sums to break into the Sydney and Melbourne housing markets. And lastly, a Shanghai court on Monday convicted 19 Crown Resorts current and former staff of illegally promoting gambling on the mainland, handing out prison sentences of as long as 10 months. So, Bobby, could you go a little deeper on what the Fed had to say about inflation and GDP this week?
Yeah, the Fed's Williams is John Williams is the Bank of San Francisco's head governor. Said there were some one-off things in the most recent inflation reports that have kept inflation a little bit lower than it may actually be. But some of the comments out of that were things like cell phone costs, which I thought were interesting. So I don't know how thorough these one-off costs really are that are keeping inflation low. I still think it's more about wages. So, we're going to keep a tight look at this week when not only when GDP comes out, but when inflation data comes out to see, what's going on in the wage world. That'll be continuing. Everybody seems to think that this that the tighter these labor markets get, that it's inevitable that wages will rise, and I just don't think that's the case. Not when you have an artificially low floor, which is an artificially low, minimum wage. I don't think that employers are automatically going to start paying people more, and I don't think it's a healthy thing, and I don't think it's something that just the free market can handle themselves. So, but we'll see. We'll see what happens when that comes out this week. I think GDP is going to be in an interesting spot. I think it has to not only beat expectations, but be somewhere around 2.5%, or 2.35, somewhere in there, for equity markets to really rocket higher from here. But we'll wait and see how that comes out. I think Nike's earnings report on Thursday will be really interesting. We'll start to see, Nike's been kind of quiet. I think, it's something I told you in your personal account, that's a good thing to look at.
I hope so.
Yeah, it's a good stock, I think, to look at right now. It's been kind of dormant, and it's kind of along the lines of an Amazon or, long-standing company that doesn't stay quiet for long. They always find a way to come out and innovate, and it'll be interesting to see what their announcements are like on Thursday. Let's see how far this apparel company will move into the technology space as well. As you saw, companies, regardless of what industry they're in right now, the ones that are acting more like technology companies and implementing more innovation and technology into their processes are the ones that are really starting to outperform. So whether it be in the healthcare space or in some of these consumer stocks to true technology companies, it's the ones that are implementing technology and innovation that are outperforming and seeing their earnings rise. So, and of course, biotech is rip roaring hot right now. I think it doesn't look too good that Trump will get his votes here for this next round of the repeal and replace for Obamacare, but it doesn't seem that markets much care about it. Kind of seems that it's going to go the way of the free market and kind of ignore healthcare policy making. So we'll keep an eye on that, but it's all signs look to GDP on Thursday at the moment. What do you got in the sports world other than Jordan Spieth's, was it Spieth or Spaeth? Spieth.
That was something, huh?
Jordan Spieth.
That was pretty neat, holding out on the last little. Daniel Berger just kind of looked demoralized.
Yeah, it was his celebration was outrageous too.
I think
goodness,
he needed that one.
He did.
I think it was a big weight off his shoulders. I think people knew he was struggling, and
yeah.
I think that's going to get him going in the right direction. Other than that, just some trades in the NHL. Sod going back to Chicago. He's from around here. Sent over Panarin to Columbus. Penguins get a big fighter in Ryan Reeves from St. Louis, so that'll be fun. Someone to protect Crosby. Other than that, not a whole lot going on. Free agency starts on Saturday for the NHL, so look forward to that.
Yeah, we got to get a wiffle ball game going or something at lunch.
We do. I'm down.
Something to report on.
That's fine with me.
All right, sounds good, buddy.
A live video, maybe.
Well, thanks for listening. This was The Point for Monday. What is it?
June 26th.
June 26th. We'll see you all back here tomorrow.